Gabby Petito's body might have just been found, her boyfriend on the run. Nicki Minaj is in a fight with media and all the reporters after her for supposedly not attending the Met Gala. These are the Lemons, and I'm Evan with the Lemons with Clemens. Special intro here. This is where I would put in a awesome little music thing. Maybe something on the screen. It's like the Lemons with Clemens or something. If you're into video editing or music editing and you're interested in that, obviously there is a position available because nothing just happened. Thank you for watching, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the show. This is Evan with the Lemons with Clemens. I wanted to do something a little bit different as usual because I'm always doing something different, it seems, because I'm still growing. I'm still trying to make something new. Let's talk a little bit about Chris Watts. Not Chris Watts. It's so similar though. Let's talk about this Gabby Petito thing. It's been all over the news. Doesn't matter what station you're on. It's been all over social media. I keep seeing all the time people talking about it, and you know, we should be looking for her and everything. Well, and if you don't know the story behind Gabby Petito, let me just give you a rough thing based on random Facebook things I've seen and random headlines, because I did not actually go in and study all this, because it's out there enough that you can look into it, and you probably already know, honestly, more than I do about it. Let's be honest. You probably know more about it than I do, because when I'll get this into a little bit later, I don't understand why we made it such a big deal to find this one person when there's thousands of people missing every day. I am not trying to say it's not a tragedy. It's obviously something terrifying, and maybe it's good to get all this out there so we start worrying about things a little bit more. But I think I'm trying to figure out why we're so focused on this one case. Anyway, Gabby Petito, young 20-something person, apparently pretty well-known on Instagram and on YouTube and making vlogs and whatnot with her boyfriend Dirty Laundry or something like that. Brian Laundry. I don't know. His last name's Laundry. Anyway, so this couple apparently was engaged, broke off the engagement, but stayed together. Red flag number one. From what we know, that was one of the first things we found out about. What the hell? So they decided to go on a cross-country trip because apparently they have nothing else. There's the people that I've been talking about the last few podcasts, with all the people not in jobs. They just get to go travel and do whatever the fuck they want. Anyway, I digress, all right? This is obviously a tragedy. I shouldn't be making fun of it. All right, serious face, go. The whole premise is that they were doing a cross-country trip, and they changed out their van or whatever to go across this country trip. They've been together for a long time, stayed together at his parents' house because apparently they couldn't afford to live on their own, most likely because they didn't have jobs because they were just doing stuff on Instagram and YouTube and traveling the country. With that said, right, first of all, I would love to go on one of these trips. There's images of them traveling through all these different places. And if you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, I'll put up some of these pictures as I'm talking so you can see who I'm talking about a little bit, okay? The whole premise is that they were traveling together. Apparently they got in a fight. We only know they got in a fight because we found out later after she was found missing. Well, after she was decided missing. Is it found missing? You can't be found missing because you're just missing at that point. Once she was missing, apparently, I don't know what verb you would use in that situation. Maybe I should have watched a little bit more of the news stories about this. But when she was found missing, it turns out that right before she went missing, God damn it, there it is. I found it. Right before she went missing, they've gotten in a fight. We only know that because of police body cam footage that came up after the fact. Okay. And with that said, they seemed like they got along and everything was okay and grand. But all of a sudden, after they were posting, almost every day or every other day or several times a week, there was post stopped, and then text messages went out to family or friends, and people started to wonder if it was actually her. Chances are it was the boyfriend that had the phone saying it was her, saying everything was okay, or they didn't have service or whatever, prolonging the fact that she was missing. Now, all of a sudden, the boyfriend shows up after a while alone when they left together on a cross-country trip. The first thing he does is not to get the local authorities involved or say, hey, my ex-fiance / girlfriend is missing. First thing he does is go home and get a lawyer. That's another red flag. Now, I don't know if you all remember the Chris Watts thing, where the husband murdered his family in cold blood. Really fucked up thing. There's a documentary on Netflix, and that was spooky. Gave you chills. But it's crazy how, like, if you go back and watch this body cam footage that what they had with the police officers, she's like crying and obviously in shock, and he's like trying to joke and laugh with the officers and act like nothing's wrong. Another red flag. Okay, that's pretty typical behavior for somebody that is manipulative and is controlling. He's trying to make it seem like nothing's going on, even though it makes her look like she's the crazy one. Okay, and we all know this from watching things, but we only know it from an outside perspective. When you're in it, you're not aware of it. You don't know it's as bad as it is until you're outside of it. And the one thing I keep seeing on social media is talking about how, don't stick around in an abusive relationship and etc. And, that's great advice. This is a situation that should, there's red flags. We should be aware of them, and we should take care of that before it becomes worse. Okay. So all of a sudden, boyfriend shows up at his parents' house, no girlfriend around. They get a lawyer, don't talk to anybody. So all of a sudden, this girl's missing. We don't know anything. The parents and the guy don't talk to anybody. They don't offer any help, which is pretty inconsiderate and pretty heartless if you think about it. You were just with this girl, and it just screams guilt, okay? And I understand the police are trying to do the job the right way. They can't sit there. All the police officers knew that this guy was obviously it. Whenever there is a murder or something like that, the first thing is a loved one. All right, that's the first one that everybody looks at because a murder or anything like that out of love or in the heat of an argument is typical. Okay, the worst thing they could have done is not offer any help and made it where they had to do all the work themselves and find it. Now, this went on for 1 or 2 weeks now, and all of a sudden we found remains of a body somewhere, and I don't remember where. Okay, look it up. What in the world, though? If you knew this girl was going to turn up, and she's going to, at some point she's going to turn up. So why not confess? Well, in the span of all this stuff going on, while he's ducking the police and not talking to any police officers and staying at his parents' house, apparently goes missing. Police can't detain him, and they can't do anything, so everybody's up in arms about the police doing this. But what were they supposed to do? You can't assume somebody is guilty, because if you assume that and act based on that, then any case involving him could have been lost. Okay? They have to do it the right way, even if they all know that this guy is guilty of sin. All right? Just so you know. So I know it's super frustrating that we let him get away is kind of what everybody was saying. And, there's a big search party for him and whatnot. And they had to let it happen because you can't act like he's a suspect until you have more information. At that point, she was just missing. There was no help. Now, if there's a body and they're doing an autopsy, and once they get information, that means there's more to it. That means he can then be deemed a suspect and they can arrest him. So, now there's a body. There's a manhunt for him. He's missing. Everything's a shit show. And bless her heart. That's awful that, she was killed. And the other weird thing is there was a double homicide, another murder right near the area where she went missing. And I think it was at a campsite, and they said there was some weirdo or whatever. So maybe this guy just there's the conspiracy now that maybe this guy just kind of went on he just broke and he just started killing people and maybe liked the control or the power, and he went and did it again. That's kind of scary. That's kind of creepy. Maybe this guy did do 2 other murders, which is wild. Not sure if there's any way to link those other murders, and not sure that there is a link even. It could be nothing, and hopefully it is nothing. But it's one of those things where you just sit there and it makes you go, "Huh, I wonder." But you got to realize, everybody loves to play the what if game. The what if game. If this happened, then what if this happened? What if he was a murderer? Maybe he was a serial killer. You know what the what if game is? It's mental masturbation. That's it. Mental masturbation. What if this? What if that? Just makes you feel good thinking about shit. That's why you don't play the what if game. That's why you got to let the facts happen as they happen, and you got to get the information. That's what the police were trying to do. Did it hurt them in the long run? Possibly. Possibly it did. We don't know that. I think they're getting the information. And you know what? This guy is not going to be in hiding forever. He's going to turn up, and they're going to get him, and everything will, due process will happen. Bless her heart. I was hoping that the remains they found weren't her. Maybe she was found, but after so long of missing, you pretty much know what happened. All right. This whole idea of her just missing and the boyfriend's back, it was like one of those things where we were all kind of looking at each other. I felt like that's what it was. I remember I was listening to the girl, Gabby Petito's dad, on something. Maybe it was like Fox and Friends or something like that. It was just something on in the background somewhere. I feel like I was at hospital or something. I saw it, and he was like, I'm not going to speculate on what happened. I have an idea what happened, but we're just trying to find her. The focus is on finding her, which is great. That's a good message. Obviously deemed by a lawyer, but every person in the news agency, everywhere, every person that's read it, every person that's put it on Facebook is looking back at each other and going, this fucking boyfriend obviously did it. Like, we're all aware of that, right? This is obviously what happened. There's too many weird red flags. You can't just turn up and act like nothing happened. So, either way, we all know that's probably what happened. And here we are. The body was found, allegedly. And we'll figure out what happens after that. It's a sad story. But the thing that I don't understand is why it got such national attention. I think it's devastating. I think it is heartbreaking. As a parent, if I ever lost my child, that'd be awful. But the amount of children that get stolen, abducted, kidnapped, and we're talking people less than 20 years old. What about all the minors that get sex trafficked? What about all the kids that are abducted out of their bedrooms? Which is a real thing. The people getting stolen out of their arms, or if they're walking down the side of the street and someone pulls up in a car and just grabs them. Kids getting kidnapped walking home from school. What about all those kids? What about the people that couldn't defend themselves or fend for themselves whatsoever? A girl that left with her boyfriend who's 20-something years old. Maybe she shouldn't have done that. Maybe there was red flags and she put herself in a bad situation. Obviously, not a situation that anybody could ever think would happen, all right? We're talking about the worst thing that you could do other than rape, which I think is the worst thing that somebody could do, which I think if you rape somebody, you should be castrated, honestly. But how is it that we're focusing so much on this person? I don't know what the actual... I don't know what it is. Is it because she had a lot of followers on Instagram and YouTube and there was enough people that gave it a spotlight? Is that what it was? I really don't know. And that's what I'm curious about, is how it became such a big story. There's murders all the time. You look at Chicago and there's more murders there than anywhere else in the United States. Nobody talks about that. Is it because that's black on black crime? Or is it because it's just some little white girl that got stolen that's pretty famous on Instagram? That's bullshit. My heart breaks for that family. It does. That's an awful thing to have to endure. That's an awful thing for anybody. I couldn't even imagine the fear that she probably had during whatever happened. Because there was probably some kind of struggle. And that's terrifying and that's heartbreaking. But what about anybody else? Why does this cast such a shadow over anybody else that's ever gone missing? There's missing people all the time, but this little girl got the spotlight, and I don't know why. I really don't. If you do know, I'm more than happy to hear why. Leave me a comment on YouTube or Facebook, or send me a message on Instagram or on TikTok. I'm very curious. It doesn't make sense. So while all this stuff is going on, just a few days ago, Nicki Minaj made a huge no-no when it comes to the media world. Now, we're talking about Nicki Minaj. This is the one that nobody fucks with because she doesn't give a fuck. You know what I mean? And I'm going to pull these images up on my phone. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to end up putting it up also on this video so that you can see what I'm talking about. But she put up a bunch of these messages. Let me pull this up so I can actually see what I'm talking about here. Because there's no reason I'm trying to remember it. So what happened is Nicki Minaj didn't show up to the gala, the Met Gala in New York, which is a big fancy ball type thing where a bunch of elitist rich people go and dress up and whatnot. And she didn't go, saying that she had a small child and didn't want to have to travel and leave the kid behind. Media took that story and turned into she didn't want to wear a mask or didn't want to take a flight because of the vaccine and was super anti-vax, and turned her into this, demonized her because of not being vaccinated, when all she said in like one tweet or something, or an Instagram story that said that she was not against it, but she had questions about it, saying that she knew somebody that their balls has swollen up. And then everybody started fact checking her, saying there's no proof on that. But if you look at the CDC stats, and there's actual statistics where it says there have been several cases reported of inflamed testicles. It's a real thing. But anybody that goes against the vaccine, or anybody that says that what the media is telling you or anything like that about COVID is wrong, or they question it whatsoever, you're instantly demonized. And you're instantly thrown against the media, and everybody's against you at that point. And that's the part that's super weird, where if you have any pushback, everybody's attacking you. And that makes you wonder. That makes you want to put on that tinfoil hat and go, I wonder. And what I don't get with that is the fact that we're just okay with the media doing that and acting that way about things just because you agree with it. It doesn't matter if you think vaccines should happen. You should never be for the media attacking somebody because they disagree. The whole point of this country is to be free and to be able to express your thought. And it's kind of bullshit, in my opinion. Anyway, so they attack her. And the White House apparently offers her to be able to have a conversation about it. Because she's a celebrity. She's a famous person and can reach millions of people instantly. Well, because of her stance and because of everything that happened, it gave her even more reason to push back. So all of a sudden, the media is trying to get a hold of her family, apparently, and I want to say it's Trinidad, where they're trying to talk to her family, and they won't reach. So she posts screenshots of the conversation happening where one of the reporters is saying, hey, CNN's on the ground right now, and they're going to expose everything about you, where you live, what you like, what you do. Or you could talk to me and that won't happen. We won't give that information out. We won't essentially dox you, but CNN will dox you. First of all, I understand she's saying we won't do that, but that's basically blackmail. Any media reporter that's blackmailing somebody to get some information, saying if you don't, we'll just give out your information. That's fucked up. And it also explains how the media will get whatever message they want because they'll blackmail the people to talk to them and make them agree with them to get the narrative that they want. And this is kind of something I've talked about a little bit with my social media podcast. Right? That's a real thing, that there is a narrative that's driven by media, because at the end of the day, they're trying to sell shit, okay? It doesn't matter if you think it's a political agenda or whatever. They're trying to sell shit. And they have to go with the norm and say these people are battling the norm. So you have to make a standard, and to sell shit, you have to say these people are not the standard and they're pushing against the standard. And that's literally how it works. You make a divide, and you make a feud, and you make a fight that's not real, and use that as ammo and use it as content to get clicks. So Nicki Minaj is exposing it, and that's making a whole crock of shit. And I love it. I'm fucking here for it. You know, I think Nicki Minaj is talented as a rapper, and I think that she has a very interesting persona. I'm not huge into it. There's a few songs I've thought was interesting and good. There's a lot of it I was like, this is just too fucking weird for me. And you know what? That's fine. But all of a sudden, now she's starting to sound exactly like Kanye did. And everybody made Kanye sound crazy whenever he was saying, just because I don't agree or I'm not thinking the exact same as everybody else on this side of the political party doesn't mean I'm crazy. And that's what they do. If somebody doesn't go along with the norms, then all of a sudden you're an Uncle Tom, is what the way they put it, or you're crazy, or you need to put in the loony bin, and they demonize you and try to pit everybody against you. And I think really what's going on now is it's waking people up. It's like, we've seen this happen with Kanye, and granted, Kanye's fucking crazy, okay? That guy is, but I think he's he's different. I think I personally think he might be on the spectrum. That guy is a fucking musical genius, no matter what you think about him. Okay, musical genius, one of the best producers that's ever touched music. Okay, especially in the rap game, he's the man. Okay, but as soon as he started saying stuff that was different, or started supporting like Trump or something like that, your feelings or whatnot about Trump, it doesn't matter what your feelings are. You have the right to think something. It doesn't mean you're crazy. Well, okay, well, that was a bad way to put it. You can think some things that make you fucking crazy, okay, but you can support somebody or have similar ideas, and it doesn't make you crazy. Now, Nicki Minaj is also doing something similar, and they're trying to now turn her into the bad person. Where she's even was fighting against Pfizer a little bit, and now deleting tweets based on that, asking like, where's Pfizer's drug prices, or what their stock price is at now. So these posts, let me pull them up again. I'm sorry. These posts continue, where she also says, threatening my family in Trinidad won't bode well for you. So then leaks a senior reporter's information, which is on their card. Said this person's in Trinidad harassing my family. I didn't want to give details, but now I will. They're now forcing my family to hide out. This is what speaking up looks like. Millions of poor people are treated this way by the people you think are the good guys. This is unconscionable. Apparently, I can't say that fucking word. Charlene Rampersad, bitch, your days are fucking numbered. You dirty hoe. That's some quality content right there from Nicki Minaj. And so the first couple things was, it looks like it's a WhatsApp, honestly, and it looks like it's just a message of a reporter just harassing, the Charlene lady harassing her family, saying, I was hoping to speak for you for an article. Would that be possible? Was it your friend Nicki who was speaking about in her tweet? Have you considered talking to me? And it goes, I know you are hesitant to speak with us, but just letting you know, CNN is in the country looking for you. And when they find you, they won't hesitate to reveal where you live or where your girlfriend lives. Anything and anyone who is tied to you. If you speak to me, we won't reveal these details. So what do you say? Okay, first of all, that's blackmail. Plain and simple. That's fucking blackmail. The whole idea of CNN's in the area, they'll give out all these informations, but I won't if you talk to me. You're basically saying, talk to me or you're fucked. That's called blackmail. And so she made a point, she tried to defend herself on Twitter saying, no, I said I wouldn't give out those details. That's why she talked to us. That's bullshit. You were blackmailing and you were using intimidation. And this is something that happens all the time. And I think Nicki Minaj was very, very honest in this whole thing about they're forcing my family to hide out. I'm going to say this again. This is what speaking up looks like. Millions of poor people are treated this way by the people you think are the good guys. This is unconscionable. I still can't say the word. Tried it again. Damn it. So, that is fucked up. I was trying to think of another way of putting it. No, that's just fucked up. There's no other way to put it. I think that Nicki Minaj is putting out some information, and I think that'll open some people's eyes to things that might be going on. And I think it's important that it's happening. Because if she's saying this happens all the time to millions of people that are poor, I mean, if you're in a situation where you have literally everything to lose, then you're going to go along with whatever the reporter's doing. And that's what's scary about it. That's how you can drive a narrative. But if you're somebody like Kanye or Nicki Minaj or hell, any of these big, Trump even, you can push back because you have the fuck you money. Elon Musk, you know how much he's hated by a lot of the government? Elon Musk has fuck you money. He doesn't give a shit. He gets shit done. You look at Mark Cuban, fuck you money. He does whatever the fuck he wants. Any of these people. And I wish I had some fuck you money. Because I would also want to take these people on. You know what? You want to try to do that? I'm going to expose you for being the piece of shit that you are. And this is what they do. They try to, the fact that they said they'll reveal where you live, but also your girlfriend. So you're bringing in even more people and people that mean something to you. That's wrong. Okay? And if that's happening, and this is just a glimpse. This is something that we're seeing from one celebrity about one thing. If that happened that quick, within a few weeks span of whatever was going on with Nicki Minaj, then what else is happening that we don't need, that we don't see, what we don't know about? One of the things that, when I'm talking more, what I'm thinking about, what we don't know about and what we don't see is there's a lot of, I had something hit my Facebook recently where it was talking about it was like a school board meeting. A mayor is telling them all to resign or face charges because there is curriculum and there's stuff going on in the schools that is incredibly sexually explicit. Talking about, there was like a questionnaire that they're supposed to fill out at class and not supposed to take home so the parents didn't see it. And I forgot for what grade this is for. But talking about when was the last time you wanted to orgasm but couldn't? Like, what? You don't ask that to somebody in high school. What kind of fucking sex ed is that? There was, I don't know if it was the same area or the same school district, and I saw something else where a parent was doing their speech, reading stuff from a book available in the library for fourth graders, talking about boys sucking each other's dicks, using that language, by the way. That's pretty fucked up. If I went to school, or if my kid went to school, and that shit's available, and I find out about it, you're goddamn right I would raise all hell. That's gross. That's grooming, which is illegal. That is why kids become what they are. That's why the internet is so scary for young adults, because it grooms them, because it makes explicit material normal. It makes it so they can talk about it, or it almost makes it like the secret thing that, the older people don't know about, the parents don't know about. And it's scary. It's setting up children to put themselves in bad situations, and it's something that should not happen whatsoever. And it's terrifying for me when I think about my kid. If I ran across any of that stuff, I would make sure with full force that everyone would be aware of the bullshit that's going on. It makes you want to go into private school, that's for sure. And there should probably be more opportunities for that. But, we're at a time right now, and with this Nicki Minaj thing, we're at a time where if you push back against any normalcy in the media, you're the bad guy. You're wrong. If you put something on Facebook about the vaccine or COVID, you're slapped with a COVID disclaimer on there. If you put on Twitter, you have the opportunity to be banned. If you put it on, I don't know what happens on Instagram. I just started an Instagram, and I'm still trying to figure out what the fuck happens. So if you do know, please let me know. TikTok, same thing. I'm not sure what goes on. So for anybody that it does know this stuff, please, I'm more than willing to learn, okay? And I'm trying to figure out why things are the way they are, and why we're at a point where, as we begin to uncover more things, we realize that maybe the people that we said were crazy might not be crazy. And that's what's scary. If you think about the vaccine, or not the vaccine, the coronavirus, at first, they said it came from a bat in Wuhan. And people were like, well, that's kind of fucking weird. Even though there's literally a coronavirus lab in Wuhan, China. What if there was a leak? No. There's no lab leak. That's fucking ridiculous. No. Well, now there's evidence that most likely it was a lab leak. And that one or two scientists from the lab is who started it. Or the fact that whenever it first happened, even the big people were saying, don't wear a mask. It's not that big of a deal. Well, then you do wear a mask, and then you don't wear a mask, and it's not a big deal. Or how about whenever they said, get the vaccine. They'll stop everything. You won't get it. Then all of a sudden you get the vaccine and people are still getting it. Excuse me. Or maybe, what about the people that they said, would not need to get a booster? I don't know if that was actually said. I might have just made that up. What about the, there was something else that happened. I mean, there's constantly a pushback. The vaccine, people can't get sick or can't die, and all of a sudden you're starting to read stuff about it. Nicki Minaj about the people getting inflamed testicles, and it's pushed back with the stats of it actually happening. It's very low numbers. It was only like 700 or 800 cases. Doesn't mean it doesn't happen whatsoever. What about the fact that they wouldn't push mask mandates? Now all of a sudden they're trying to push more mask mandates, at least federally. So I think there's so many weird things that we question things, and if you question it, you're the bad guy. But all of a sudden these things start to become a realization, and it's starting to happen more and more, I feel like. And it makes you wonder. It makes you go, and I wonder what else is going to happen. I'm kind of scared about what else is going to happen. And I want to get off of this COVID rant because it becomes very political very quickly, because there's apparently no way to separate the idea of politics from anything anymore. It's worrisome. So hopefully everything that happens with Gabby Petito works out, and we find the bad guy, and we get it taken care of the right way through due process. Hopefully, all this going on with Nicki Minaj exposes some bullshit and opens some people's eyes, and maybe some lack of trust in the media is something that's needed, because I think there's a lot of bullshit. Everything's about getting the news out first rather than getting it right. And hopefully we get some information that's right instead of just first, because it's making things awful. Maybe COVID wipes us all out. Who knows? But I think that's all that I have for today. And this is Evan. Thank you for watching. This is the Lemons with Clemens.